Welcome everybody, this is the man called Megs, welcoming you to another Paladins Who Is video, and this time we are looking at the champion Ruckus. Part of the fighter class that includes Buck and Grover. This is your typical high health, high damage, slow movement class. Nice and simple to play, difficult to master. To deal that damage, Ruckus has a mech called Bolt, and his primary attack is miniguns, two large miniguns mounted on each arm of Bolt. The interesting mechanic with these miniguns is the fact that you need to spin them up to get the top rate of fire. So you start slow and then continually firing, builds up until you're dealing 75 damage every 0.6 seconds. What does that mean in practice? Well, potentially if you can get your shots on target, you can deal a lot of damage very, very quickly. Let's take a look here. So we just aim at sky, start firing, starts off slow, and then, wow. Yeah, when you get going, you're dealing a lot of damage very, very quickly. So what's the downside? Well, every time you reload, you have to start spinning up your minigun again, which takes time and means that you can't really be doing your full amount of damage to either a single enemy or a group of enemies every single second of the game. Though as you can see here, if you can get a full clip off, you can actually take down a full health Fernando. What might be more surprising is the accuracy of the miniguns over range. This ultimately gives the freedom for Ruckus to dive straight into a fight or to hang around the periphery or flank round the enemy and deal damage at range. It may seem that Ruckus has a massively unfair advantage given how fast he can fire, but the time it takes to spin up, plus the fact that in reality your targets are going to be moving, so getting all of those hits off, means it's not as overpowered as it quite seems. Ruckus's right-click ability is very simple. It spins up the miniguns prior to firing, but at the cost of movement speed. It's quite a severe movement restriction penalty as well. You'll find yourself moving much, much slower with the right click held in. However, that does allow you to keep up the rate of fire after a reload. So if your reactions are quick enough, you can start spinning up just before you reload and then let go afterwards and still maintain your rate of fire whilst also moving. The temptation is to use the right click all of the time, but realistically you leave yourself a sitting duck. Instead, its best use is to just hide around a corner, wait until you know an enemy's going to be there, spin up and then turn around and pow. Ruckus's F ability is his hover ability. This gives him 2.5 seconds of hover, removing any of the debuffs that he has accumulated. He does move ever so slightly quicker when you're hovering rather than when you're walking, but it's worth noting that if you're doing the right click minigun ability, you're still going to move slower than if you were letting go of the right click. So you can move and hover at the same time and fire at the same time, but not necessarily getting the same boost that you normally would have. It's worth noting that hover isn't a vertical flying motion like some of the other champions have. It's really just a straight movement ability, so you can hover over small gaps, but larger ones, you'll just fall down. Emitter is Ruckus's shield ability. Ignore the card text here because it's referencing some things that now don't exist in the game as of patch 20 something or other. We're at patch 29 as recording of this. Dual fire used to be an ability that's now been replaced by minigun. So whilst you're reading this card, just know that we're really just talking about a shield that takes 1,000 damage over 3 and a bit seconds. 1,000 damage isn't very much, so don't expecting this to be saving you in the middle of a massive firefight, but it can be enough to get you out of a really tough situation. And finally we come to Ruckus's ultimate ability, Hexafire. This is pretty awesome to watch in the game. You get 2 extra miniguns and rocket launchers dealing, well, just an insane amount of damage potentially. You do have to aim, so be careful not to just try and fire it and assume that everybody's dying. But when you get it into a nice group of enemies, wow, it's really, really powerful and really, really awesome. So let's look at it in action. Suddenly you become, yes, the bringer of death, quite definitely. So given all of that, who is Ruckus exactly? Well, he is your archetypal tank, lots of health, lots of damage, but slow movement. He's potentially capable of pushing several players off of a point, or potentially holding a point all on his own. But that slow movement speed definitely means that he's vulnerable when you're getting caught in the middle of a crossfire and you need to get out of dodge fast. Look after him and he'll look after you. So that's all for now. I've been the man called Megs. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment and subscribe for more Paladins content, and we'll see you in the next video. See you later.